Last thing before Biden, over the weekend, there was protests sparked in Lancaster, Pennsylvania. Another round of protests popping up and some violence there. There was some damage done to a post office and a police station. And it's like, well, what now, guys? That's become kind of, I don't know if you're feeling the same way. It's like just, yep, it's another thing that happened, and here we go again. We got a story here from the Daily Mail. Pennsylvania cops shoot dead man for charging at officer with a huge blade as protests erupt outside precinct in support of the knifeman who stabbed 4 people last year, including a teenager, says the man was shot dead, and they were responding to a domestic disturbance. The man's sister called police after he started acting aggressively toward his mother and tried to break into the house. And then notes body cam footage. Now, I'm not going to show the footage. There's the perpetrator and then, I guess, the victim as well, if you want to call him that. But this is from the body cam footage. This is what the cop was up against. A man yelling, I mean, that's a giant knife. I don't know. That looks like something Rambo has. Running at the cop, yelling, holding a knife, and then the cop, and then we're just going to scroll past there. And the cop opened fire, and he died. Here's what's going on here. There was an argument between Munoz. Several people become physical. He was punched and kicked them before they walked away from the fight, and he grabbed the knife and then started running at the cop. And then cop shot him. And then here's some protesters, maybe a bit of a vigil or something like that. There's one nice peaceful attempt at breaking a window with a brick. And there's, craziness here. And then there was this isn't as bad. This isn't like what happened in Portland or Wisconsin or anything like that. So, it's just one more thing, guys. I mean, we're back to this. And I don't want to spend too much time on this, but you saw the picture of the guy with the knife, right? I mean, and it's like, what do people expect a cop to do here? And from scrolling through Twitter and some social media, if people basically on one side saying it's justified and people on the other side, which I don't understand, but it is a common sentiment, which is that the cop has to basically do anything possible to not harm a person like that. And it's sort of this expectation of, I think even Joe Biden said one time, well, just shoot him in the leg instead. Do you know how impossible that is? With adrenaline rushing and all that stuff, to be able to aim and hit a leg, it just doesn't work that way. I mean, when you're taught, you center mass, right? That's where you're going to aim because you can miss and then hit a bystander or something like that as you're trying to do some perfect trick shot like you're in the Old West or something. It's unreasonable. And it's as if some people expect the police to be like Superman or something, where you just like put your hand out, you stop the guy, and you can just disarm him without any issue. And as we've seen, when people resist arrest, it can become very hard to handle. And there was even a case somewhere, I think a cop opened fire on a guy. He just kept coming at him. Sometimes tasering doesn't work. At what point does say a man wielding a knife yelling at a cop chasing him down? I mean, what? I believe these are just unrealistic expectations for the police. I mean, they do go too far and they do abuse their power at times, and they need to be punished for it. As we're seeing, this guy was I believe he's resigned, I think, or at least put on leave or something while there was an investigation going. When a cop goes too far and breaks the law, or then they need to be prosecuted for it and go through the legal system. But something like this, I mean, the idea that any time, for any circumstance, they're just going to go out and protest and riot, it to me is ridiculous, and to me it makes it lose credibility. I think the expectations, especially in a case like this, what are you supposed to do here, cop? I mean, he does have a right to defend himself just as a person, not just as an officer of the state. His own life is under threat. Now, the police sent this picture out as fast as possible. They went through the body cam footage and put it out on social media to prevent what happened down there. But it doesn't matter, right? It doesn't really matter what the facts of the case are, what the circumstances surrounding the case are. It needs no more than, a man was shot and killed by the police. And so now we need to go out and protest and riot. And this one actually did seem mostly peaceful, to use that phrase, from what I can tell. From at least from what I've seen, there was some damage done to a couple of buildings, but nothing super awful, thankfully. But it's, so the cops are trying to put out this footage, be like, guys, look, this guy was crazy. He was threatening people. He stabbed people before. And he's chasing after a cop with a giant knife. What the heck? I mean, what are you supposed to do? And it doesn't matter. The facts don't matter. And that just is where we are. Curious if you've seen this story here out of Lancaster, Pennsylvania, what your thoughts are. Was it more violent than I've seen? I haven't seen it. I didn't see that. What do you think of the case? Is it unreasonable to expect a police officer to fire at a man who's chasing him down the street, yelling, wielding a large knife? What is the responsibility of a police officer in this situation? And are we putting unreasonable expectations, or are some people putting unreasonable expectations on police to show some sort of superhuman power to disarm someone and arrest them? That's where I feel. I think that's where we are, and it's not helpful. It's not helpful for either side. If we can't even agree on this, we can't. What hope is there if to something that seems, at least to me, and I think to many of you, clear cut? So I'd love to know what you think about that.